Now, your particular concern, the determination with Labor to turn Australia into a republic under the system of a constitutional monarchy, a Prime Minister like Gough Whitlam, was prevented from breaching the Constitution. Now, if integrity is to be preserved, shouldn't the matter of a republic be determined by referendum?
It certainly should be determined by referendum. There are people who propose it being done through the back door. One Labor MP, presumably with some of the support in his party, proposes that the law of succession be changed so that the Queen be succeeded by King Rudd or King Turnbull or somebody like that, which is a ridiculous suggestion. But the other thing that the Labour Party is going to do is to have a minister for the Republic. Once Mr Albanese gets in, one of his minister's roles will be to be undermining the Constitution, which is an extraordinary proposition, given that the Constitution says that the government is there to maintain and execute the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth. How can you maintain the Constitution if you have a whole government department with all the money a government department has, all of those various people that they employ, consultants and so on, to campaign against an institution within the Constitution which they want to get rid of? And the model which is being proposed is a model whereby the President would be stripped of the reserve powers. Those are the powers that Sir John Kerr used against Gough Whitlam.
But Professor Flint, we've got an election on. Isn't it disturbing that none of these very, very serious issues are even being debated or discussed?
This is extraordinary. Only the superficial issues seem to be being discussed and not the really fundamental issues of where this country is going, where the defence of this country is going, and the very important questions of the development of the country through the harvesting of water and the standards of education. Our education system is collapsing. We had that Gonski proposal for years whereby you put more money into education. The result was more federal money meant lower standards.
I've talked about that till I'm blue in the face. Listen, before you go, before we run out of time, you have said that Donald Trump is the finest of American presidents since Ronald Reagan. Amplify that for us.
Well, if you examine the man, not on what he said, not on what others said, if you examine him on what he achieved, he drew lines in the sand in relation to the hostile powers to the United States, and they knew not to cross them. Putin knew not to cross them. Xi knew not to cross them. The mullahs in Tehran knew not to cross them. And there would have been no problem in Ukraine had he been in power. Absolutely. And he started a whole network of peace treaties in the Middle East. He was a very strong president. He built up the armed forces of the United States in a way which had been allowed to deteriorate under previous administrations.
Made them energy independent?
Yes, he made them energy independent. He brought back industry. He stopped the Chinese communists from stealing intellectual property. He really had them understanding that there were limits beyond which they could not
employment growth in every ethnic group.
Yes, and he stands out with Reagan as a great peacetime leader, as a wonderful leader of the free world.
Wonderful.
We don't have a great leader of the free world now. From Afghanistan, we know that we have no leader of the free world at the moment. Well, this is so important to us.
Absolutely. That's the crisis in Western political leadership that I talk about. Wonderful to talk to you, David Flint. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your insights, and thank you for the intellectual contribution you make on so many fronts. It's always good to talk to you. There he is, Professor David Flint.